pandemic in town, and it's taking creators down a rabbit hole of corruption in a Massachusetts town. It strikes at the heart of bloggers, no matter podcaster or receiver. It can strike you like a Lexus, then you've got Karen Red River fever. While all the symptoms are quite acute, and you'll ask things differently by far.
Ask it differently, Mr. Jackson.
Anything, or you'll
What a fancy.
Screaming outside back.
Sidebar.
She said I hit him 3 times,
3
while
times.
making butt dials as well. No matter
morning,
how
Tricia.
hard you try to fight it, you just can't unring that bell.
That bell.
So once you finally say I'll allow it,
I'll
like
allow
Auntie
it.
built the darn diva, you'll find yourself behind that buffer zone, 'cause you got Karen Red River fever.
Howdy, howdy, ho. Oh, I said ho. Happy Memorial Day, USA. And good morning to you. Good afternoon, good evening, good day to wherever else you may be. And I hope it's a great day. Welcome to the Defense Rests. I'm Jody, and we are going to have a play today. It's fun. Did you hear me say good morning to you? Good morning, Justice Jane. Welcome. Lovely to see you. If you've got any questions, please, by all means, put them in chat. I've got a few sample questions. I went down a rabbit hole as per usual to get to our final resting pace. And very interesting. Teresa, did you hear me say hello, good morning to you during the intro? Yes, so if there's anything you particularly want to know, you can ask any question. The actual database I have personally uploaded every single transcript from every day of trial thus far, from the start of day 1 of trial 1. So, no, well, you know, hee-ho, maybe. You've been called worse, haven't you? I always say I resemble that remark. Yes, so you can ask it any question about any witness. You can compare witnesses. You can ask for predictions, or I actually just asked it to analyze Alessi's strategy in the way that he did his cross-examination to Burgess and why he did it that way, and explain to me, because it's actually a legal database tool. It's what lawyers use, allegedly, so that they can quickly call up any previous testimony or, you know, quotes, what have you. That's what their paralegals do. So, you know, I think Jackson said something about, how many times did you apologise last testimony, Miss McCabe? And, you know, he had the answer because you can put it straight in and it will answer you. So anything that has been spoken in testimony obviously is evidence, and it is locked in there, and it can be extracted by asking a question. So yeah, I even asked it to analyze the voir dire it did on Daniel Wolf. And I got them to analyze not only the questions, but the wording of the questions, the tone of the voice, the tenure, the implication, and I got I got them to tell me what they were actually trying to obtain and look for and get out of this witness by doing that. It's amazing. But I will say, I had a bit of a play with ChatGPT on the weekend, and I thought, I haven't really had a lot to do with AI. And ChatGPT is the engine that goes into this database to retrieve what you're requesting. So it comes as part of the package. And I put in John's height, weight, injuries, where he was, how he was lying, what he was wearing, like the clothing, what his alcohol levels were, both in his blood and his eye. What else did I put in? Obviously, the weather and the situation. And I asked it to tell me what was the cause and manner of death. And you know what? It was spot on to Irene Scortibello. Absolutely, almost to the word. Oh, I even put in the his body temperature at the time he was found, and they explained how quickly the body temperature reduced because of this position, because of this, because of that. It explained everything. It was amazing. So there you go. If in doubt, ask ChatGPT. So I've done a few little questions before we get to the big one. Now, I've done this question before. I did it on the 9th of May just to see what it would say. So she faces the 3 charges, obviously. The second degree murder of John O'Keefe, the manslaughter while operating under the influence of alcohol, and leaving the scene of an accident after causing injury or death. Now, it also understands the legal system and process, so it's based on beyond a reasonable doubt. So back on the 9th, it told me that the prosecution's case, actually, I'll share the screen. Here we go. Makes it a bit easier. Not very big, is it? I don't think I could enlarge this one last time either. What if I can do it on here instead? Let's have a quick go. See if I can make it any bigger for you. There we go. That's a bit better. How's that? Oh, hang on. I have to choose it now. Okay. Don't mind me. So back on the 9th of May, the alleged statements made by Karen were witnessed by multiple witnesses, including firefighter Timothy Nuttall, and they all claimed that she repeatedly said, "I hit him," at the scene. The physical evidence was the prosecution points to the damage on Karen's car, the cracked taillight, and the injuries as evidence of a vehicular impact. The blood alcohol level suggests that she was intoxicated. Well, she was. The relationship issues basically brought up a motive, and the witness testimonies claimed that Reed made statements indicating guilt. So the defence's case then brought up the third-party culprit theory, and that O'Keefe actually went into Brian Albert's home and was fatally beaten, and then placed outside to die, with Karen Reed being framed for the murder. They highlighted significant inconsistencies in key witness testimonies with regards to Timothy Nuttall, who changed his account of how many times he heard her say it. Jen McCabe and Kerry Roberts coordinating their testimonies and creating the timeline, and multiple witnesses testifying differently in trial 2 compared to 1. So basically, they went through the whole crappy investigation and the police connections and timeline discrepancies and witness credibilities and the likely verdict they came up with. Based on the current evidence and the requirement of proof beyond a reasonable doubt, a jury would most likely return a verdict of not guilty on all charges. So that was back on the 9th of May. So the defence had successfully created reasonable doubt through exposing all those things I just mentioned. So I put in a few extra things today, and I asked, because I am still, no one seems to, I've mentioned it to a few people, like big law tutors. There is a thing in Massachusetts. Of course, Massachusetts is different to everyone. And they have a thing called the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights. And it pertains, there's one particular article in there called Article 14, and it pertains to property owners in the in regards to having crimes committed on or in that property. So I actually put in again why they thought Brian Albert remained inside his house that morning, and I asked them to include the implications of Article 14 in their analysis. So, all right, this is what I got. I'll bring it up. Let's see if I can prepare to find it. Are you doing anything special today, Tricia? You having family over for dinner, or whilst I bring this up? You having a cookout with all your grandkiddies? Where is it? Oh, I asked it to go over Shannon Burgess's cross-examination with Alessi, whether or not it thought that Hank was aware of Shannon's credentials, which of course he was. All right, so why Brian Albert remained inside? Nothing exciting. Is it not a big day for you guys? Back to that one. All right. Let's grab my okay, cool. Did you have all the fam over? It looks like you're the only one here, my love, so we can have a chat. You've heard all this. Basically, this pretty much reinforced what I'd been saying. So his decision not to exit his home when John O'Keefe was found on his front lawn, despite being a Boston police officer and a trained first responder, raises significant questions when examined through the lens of Article 14 of the Massachusetts Declaration of Rights, because this explains, it sets everything in motion. Everybody is saying that it is this big conspiracy and 70 or 80 people need to lie. No. No, 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 no. All you have to do is do nothing. Don't investigate, because you won't find anything then. And time and opportunity. So what he did by not coming out was he bought time, because his rights are then, it provides an additional layer of protection on top of what is it? The Fourth Amendment. And it says every subject has a right to be secure from all unreasonable searches and seizures of his person, his houses, his papers, and all his possessions. And this is what the Article 14 states. This provision provides even stronger protections than the Fourth Amendment of the US Constitution under Massachusetts law. As a police officer, Brian Albert would have been intimately familiar with these protections. His decision to remain inside his home during the discovery and response of O'Keefe's body appears strategically aligned with preserving these constitutional protections in several ways. One, maintaining the threshold barrier. By not exiting his home, Albert preserved the legal threshold that would require investigators to obtain a warrant to enter his residence. So if he went out, they could enter without needing a warrant, because he has instilled himself into the situation pretty much. Article 14 creates a strong distinction between public areas like the front lawn and private areas like the home interior. So it was okay once Jen McCabe went in and then the front door was open, Lang let himself in because the front door was open. Had that not happened, they would have needed to obtain a search warrant. Unless they are, there is something indicating that there is either danger in the property, or someone witnessed the perpetrator run in there, or someone witnessed them throw the murder weapon in the house, or something like that. That's the only other way that they could get around it. So, avoiding potential observations. If Albert had come outside, first responders and investigators might have observed his physical condition, potential injuries, or other evidence that could have created probable cause for further investigation, targeting him. By remaining inside, Albert ensured that investigators couldn't glimpse anything inside his home that might be in plain view. A doctrine that allows seizure of evidence visible from a lawful vantage point without a warrant. Staying inside prevented any spontaneous statements or responses to questions that might have undermined his legal position. So, the investigators' failure under Article 14. Now, I just asked it to assess Brian Albert's, what impact that had under Article 14. What's particularly notable is that despite a body being found on Albert's property, Trooper Proctor never sought a search warrant for the Albert residence. This represents a critical investigative failure that appears connected to Albert's strategic use of Article 14 protections. 1. The evidence indicates that Proctor characterised the situation as cut and dry almost immediately, focusing solely on Karen, which is true. First 8 hours, he had her car, her phone, it was sewn up, she was guilty. Despite standard investigative protocol that would typically include examining the property where a body was found, Proctor never even entered the Albert home. So it's the lack of action. So if you don't call out the CSI team, you're not going to find any evidence of anyone else. So there's nothing to worry about. Does that make sense? You're not going to find any DNA elsewhere. You're not going to find anything because you didn't look for it. And then you add on top of that the crime scene left unsecure. Now, who was I watching Runkle and lawyer, were having a discussion about this. And they said, the budget for the death of a police officer is bottomless. So why none of this was done is beyond them. And the only thing that I can come up with is that they didn't want to find anything else. They kept the crime scene open so that anything else could have been potentially contaminated. So that was an excuse if anything was found. And then the CERT team didn't come out until 12 hours later. And Tully had to give the okay for that. So he was waiting for the car to get back to the Sally Port and someone to get up to 34 Fairview to put some taillight pieces. And then they went, yep, no worries, you can go. And it played out from there. So it's not a conspiracy of 80 people. It's that small house group and a couple of dodgy cops, which, I don't know why people are so surprised. It's not like the first time we've heard about dodgy cops. Look at Ty, goodness sake. So, anyway, I must say, though, coming now into week 5, I believe I've heard on the Vine that there is only one more witness for the prosecution, and they'll be resting, apparently. So the rumor is that it's the other Aperture witness, which will be interesting because his credibility is already in. Hello, sweetness. How you doing? How is you? You flit around everywhere, don't you? So, yes, I was in chat and shorties Saturday, I think. Yeah, and I caught the end of something else. I can't remember. I spent most of the weekend sleeping, which I think I needed to do. So if you've got any questions, Simmy, put them in chat. Anything you like. Anything you like. We're just going through Article 14 and the impact that had on Brian Albert not coming out of his house. I thought I would do a few lead-up things before we got to the big question. And we're going through, when I asked that question, the database brought up all these issues with Proctor. Who are your favorite? I know you're with Miss Shorty, but who else do you flit around? Is it like Runkle or I don't know, Laura Lumbar? Who else do you go and have a look at? Out of interest? You really chat though. So yes, basically they created the opportunity. And there was, as Runkle said, a bottomless budget for police officers and investigating and solo cups. And apparently they only tested one solo cup twice. Not even all 6. So, yeah, I think this Article 14 is very underrated. In fact, you know what? I might even print off that report and send it to a few people because no one has mentioned it. They're all just saying it's a shitty investigation done. It's been a really crappy investigation. It was done on purpose. It was shitty for a reason. You keep getting outed though. Gifted membership, last one. Oh, so every time you drop in chat and someone sends a membership gift, you grab one, you end up getting one and get sprung for lurking. It's a good way to catch people lurking. At least you weren't lurking in your merkin. Don't make me explain that to you, Tricia. All right. So that was that one. Then I asked it to come up with a possible alternative scenario for John's death. So this was its answer. Based on my analysis of the evidence presented in both trials, here's a potential alternative that would align with the defence evidence and timeline discrepancies. On the night of January 20, should I have a spooky voice on? Serious noise presenting, news presenting. On the night of January 29th, 2022, Karen Reid drove John O'Keefe to Brian Albert's house at 34 Fairview Road in Canton. Ryan Nagel witnessed her drop him off and observed her vehicle with no taillight damage. After Karen left, John either entered the Albert residence or attempted to do so. Inside or near the Albert home, John may have encountered one of these situations. 1. An altercation with someone inside the residence. The defence evidence suggests potential tension between O'Keefe and members of the Albert family. This altercation could have resulted in the blunt force trauma injuries. 2. An encounter with the Albert family's German Shepherd. The defence expert testified that the pattern of injuries on O'Keefe's right arm appeared consistent with scratch and claw marks from an animal attack. The family dog, described as not good around strangers, may have attacked O'Keefe. Following either scenario, O'Keefe was incapacitated, but not immediately deceased. Instead of seeking medical attention, someone at the residence may have placed O'Keefe outside in freezing temperatures, perhaps believing he would recover on his own. Don't think so. The timeline that supports this scenario includes the 2:22 a.m., the 22-second phone call between Brian Albert and Brian Higgins, the 2:27 a.m. Jennifer McCabe Google search Hosslong to die in cold, the 2:30 snowplow driver Brian Loughran passing by and saw no body on the lawn. Nobody. 3:30 a.m. Loughran observed a Ford Edge parked near where O'Keefe's body was later found. In this scenario, O'Keefe was placed outside at 2:30 a.m. then potentially transferred by the Ford Edge. No, that was just blocking the trapdoor to the basement and the gate, just blocking the view. At 3:30, the extended exposure to freezing temperatures would account for the hypothermia noted by the medical examiner as one of the causes contributing to his death. Meanwhile, Karen Reid, unaware of these events, returned to O'Keefe's home, where she waited for him at around 5 a.m. and, concerned about his absence, she backed out of the driveway to search for him, accidentally hitting his parked car and damaging her taillight, an event allegedly captured on video. When Karen arrived at the Albert residence with others to look for John, she became distraught upon finding him unconscious on the lawn. In her distressed state, she may have questioned whether she had somehow hit him earlier, leading to her statements that witnesses interpreted as a confession. This alternative explanation addresses several key pieces of evidence. One, the snowplow driver's testimony that nobody was present at 2:30 a.m. or anyone that left any time after 12:30 saw nothing. 2, the suspicious timing of the 2:22 a.m. phone call and the 2:27 a.m. Google search. 3, the expert testimony about injury patterns being consistent with an animal attack. 4, the witness testimony and alleged video evidence about when the tail light was damaged. 5, the medical examiner's finding that hypothermia was a contributor to the cause of death. And 6, the facts that the Albert family rehomed their German Shepherd shortly after the grand jury testimony. This scenario would explain why the first responders found O'Keefe with only one shoe if it came off during an altercation or a dog attack, rather than a vehicular strike. Why his injuries didn't show the typical pattern of a vehicle collision, and why no one who left the Albert residence either saw a body on the lawn. It would also explain why investigators with connections to the Albert family might have focused exclusively on Karen Reid as a suspect while failing to investigate alternate possibilities. I must emphasise that this is merely one possible scenario consistent with the defence evidence and timeline discrepancies presented at trial, not a statement of fact or my personal conclusion about what actually happened. Well, thank you, database. Thank you. Hey, good morning, Christine. How you going? Grizzly's great at doing her presentations too. Yeah, she was probably one of the first. I used to flick between her and RA, but she's really, really good at her presentations. I do enjoy them. I used to laugh how every time she would say, "What is it? A pinch or something of salt." She used to get really narky about it when someone would call her out and say, "No, it's not a pinch of salt; it's a of salt or something." Right. Analysis of Trooper Proctor's investigation and his decisions, and then I shall reveal the outcome, which is there. Okie dokie. So, concerning investigative patterns, the evidence reveals multiple instances where Proctor's actions appear to deviate significantly from standard homicide investigation procedures. Deliberate avoidance of the Albert residence, despite a body being found on the front lawn. Proctor never entered the Albert home, applied for a search warrant, called for crime scene technicians to process the interior, looked for blood or trace evidence inside. He didn't even go to the scene. Selective evidence collection. The timing of evidence collection raises questions. No taillight pieces were found during the initial thorough search of the property. Taillight pieces were only discovered after Proctor had possession of Reid's vehicle, and additional pieces continued to be found up to 3 weeks later. Evidence suggests that Proctor misinterpreted when he seized Reid's vehicle in sworn documents, with surveillance footage contradicting his affidavit. So misrepresented. So the timing on that was changed. The document bias. His text messages stating the homeowner wouldn't catch grief because he was a Boston cop too directly suggests preferential treatment. Indicators of deliberate focus on Karen Reid. The most concerning evidence suggesting potentially deliberate tunnel vision includes Proctor's personal text messages where he used derogatory language about Karen Reid, expressed hope that she would kill herself, admitted to searching her phone for nude photos without authorization, explicitly told friends the homeowner was protected because of his law enforcement status. The complete abandonment of standard investigative protocols that would typically include securing the entire scene, including adjacent areas where a victim might have been before ending up on the lawn, investigating all potential witnesses and individuals present, following all forensic leads, regardless of where they pointed. The failure to investigate the suspicious 2:27 a.m. Google search or the 2:22 a.m. phone calls, that's where that ends. Right. Law enforcement experts would typically note that proper homicide investigations follow evidence without predetermined conclusions. The systemic failure to pursue multiple investigative avenues, particularly the inexplicable decision not to obtain a warrant for the property where a body was found, represents a dramatic departure from proper procedure. When combined with Proctor's documented personal connections to the family and his explicit text messages, the evidence form a pattern that is difficult to attribute to mere oversight or incompetence. So now we know that he's not going to be called by the prosecution. It's amazing, Simi. It's amazing. What's that? I lurked on anti-Karen channel and everyone. I was on Twitter this afternoon and I happened to see some chicks. I can't even remember her name. Christy something. I don't know. But she's an AFKR. Okay. They're crazy. They are crazy. Like, I'm like, holy crap. This is a trial. It doesn't. Whether she gets found guilty or not guilty, is that going to affect your life? Like, I don't understand. I don't get it. They were so nasty. So nasty. Unbelievable. AI chat thingy. It's a database. I bought a database, basically, and uploaded everything into it so that I could just use it to compare and ask questions and analyze trials. That's what it's specifically designed for. So we can use it for anything at all. In fact, I just used it on the because in Australia we don't have the luxury of court TV or law and crime or anything like that. We've got the mushroom murder trial that is pretty much at the same space, started at the same time as Karen Reid, and they're just about to finish their state. The state's about to rest there as well. And we get about 2 minutes of random podcasts, so just audio of what happened for the day. And if there is any anything that's quoted by any witness or the judge, it is read out by a voice actor. No visuals. Mm-mm. So I had to go around and find every 2-minute update or tidbit and load them all in just to try and get as much information as I could on what's happening with this trial, because it's so crap over here. So crap. Oh dear. So yes, never ever complain about the audio being crap on court TV, or we get voice actors quoting. It's really shit. All right. So I'm not doing a drum roll because last time that was dangerous. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. So, comprehensive analysis of the trial evidence and case assessment. So, Karen Reid, and actually, when I put this in, the question I asked, I listed one of the charges wrong. I put in first degree instead of second, and it corrected me. A bum roll. Mm-hmm. I could probably just about as well. I got some cheese, some lovely brie, for Mother's Day, and I've been sitting there looking at it, but I'm lactose intolerant. I'm like, you know what, bugger it. No one but me's gonna smell it. So I'll be nibbling on that later. So she's charged with second degree murder, which is the unlawful killing with malice, manslaughter whilst operating under the influence, and leaving the scene after causing personal injury or death. Physical evidence. Damaged right rear tail light on Karen Reid's Lexus. Tail light fragments allegedly found on the scene. Only one sneaker found on O'Keefe's body. Mm-hmm. O'Keefe's injuries, including abrasions on his right arm, swollen bruised eyes, and head lacerations. Medical evidence. Oh, what do we think of that? The neurosurgeon, the brain surgeon, Wolf. Was it Isaac Wolf or can't remember his name. It's definitely Wolf though. I actually thought his testimony was better for the defense than it was for the prosecution, because he pretty much said, drunk people fall down and hit their heads like this all the time. Therefore, that's an alternative theory, and and there's probable, there's doubt right there. So bizarre. Oh, I was thinking about it this afternoon. Just giggling to myself. So I was explaining it to Tan the other day, how I actually didn't realise. I thought, oh yeah, no worries, I can just do a one cheek sneak. And we're having noise cancelling earphones on was fine. Yes. Oh well. What did oh, I got a couple of I made some new stuff. Yeah. I made a new side by swoop. Which one? I've got 3 of them actually, because I couldn't decide. So here's number 1. Side by swoop. Here's number 2.
It's a little swoop, a sneaky little glide. The message is simple, like and subscribe.
And number 3.
That sidebar, feel the groove.
Echoes that. I know. But I never laughed. What can I say? It was amazing in my head. Oh, is that where the connection came in? Because Hank was Whitey Bulger's defense attorney. So he owed Hank a favour. Yes. Right. I'm onto it. Because the way that someone else mentioned that connection, but they explained it in why Hank Brennan got this job was because they owed him for Whitey Bulger's case or something. I don't know. But that makes more sense to me. Right. Right on. Wolf testified that he never testified. Yeah. Yep. So by all reports, it looks like the prosecution will be resting possibly even tomorrow. They're not bringing on Proctor, Higgins, Albert. Colin Albert. What was her name? Stonebridge, Renee Stonebridge, Rice, the ER doctor, Flametti, is it? One of the first responders. There's heaps. Tully. So basically what Hank's done is just like, all right, let's pretend that they don't exist and they will ignore them. We won't bring in their testimony, and because I don't like what they say, and we will just replace them with people that will say what I want them to say. So, yeah, well, he probably got played a shit ton for it. That's why. Yeah. How far is Florida away from? It's straight up the East Coast, isn't it? Or am I thinking of? Yeah, it's near Boston. Yeah. Yeah. Well, bugger the fake has ruined Hank's last. Yes. Yes. They won't have forgotten. No way. No way. No. And I think that Hank's lost his credibility with the witnesses, with the jury as well, because he didn't acknowledge it. He tried to scout around it from the beginning. He didn't even question him about his credentials. He's at the start. Normally, when you go through an expert testimony, you go through all the foundations. Hello, darling. How you doing? Good morning to you. What was I saying? Yeah, they go through and lay down a little foundation of, their training experience, and we fast forward for 15 minutes on how clever they are. But he didn't. So he knew. He damn well knew. And I need to upload that short. I've got one sitting there. Haven't done it. So you are? What's up? Do you need to come over? No, you can't do that. My watch and my phone are going off. Oh, all right. All right. Well, you can give me a tingle after I finished. I'm not far off. Sorry, Tan's messaging me. So the medical examiner, Scotty Bello, she stuck to her guns, and the determination of the cause of death was blunt impact injuries of the head and hypothermia, and that it was undetermined. And she noted the lacerations, abrasions, and contusions on his arm. Witness testimony. First responders reporting that Reed stated, "I hit him." Statements from witnesses including Jennifer McCabe, Kerry Roberts, and Brian Albert supporting the prosecution's timeline, and Trooper Proctor's testimony about evidence collection and vehicle strike determination. Key defence challenges. The timeline contradictions. Oh. I've got Bailey's. Snowplow driver testimony. Brian Loughran testified he drove past 34 Fairview Road at 2:30 a.m. Tan, get an Uber and come here. If I had the money in my account, I would order you one. Snowplow driver testimony. Drove past at 2:30 and saw nobody, and at 3:30 he was observed the Ford Edge. The party attendees, 6 people: Jen McCabe, Matt McCabe, Brian Higgins, Sarah Levinson, Julie Nagel, and Caitlin Albert left the Albert residence through the front door, and none reported seeing his body. The Google search at 2:27 by McCabe, and the suspicious 2:22 a.m. butt dials by Higgins and Albert. Physical evidence challenges. The taillight damage timing. Defence claims that video evidence shows Reed's taillight was intact earlier and only broke at 5 a.m. when she backed into O'Keefe's car at his home. Ryan Nagel's testimony witness confirmed seeing Reed's undamaged vehicle when she dropped off O'Keefe. Injury pattern analysis. Defence expert testimony suggesting O'Keefe's injuries are inconsistent with a vehicle strike and more consistent with an animal attack, potentially from the Albert's family dog. Now, I reckon he could have even, like, once he was placed out on the lawn, like, he could have been nibbled on, like something could have tried to drag him away. It could have been anything. What was it, raccoons or something that are prevalent up there? I don't, not familiar with the wildlife, but it could have been anything. It doesn't necessarily have to be the dog, but it is unusual that the dog was gone out of the house. Coyotes. So yeah, exactly. You know, they can smell that a mile away. They could have tried to grab his arm and drag him and not got a good grip, and that happened whilst he was out on the lawn. It might not have been anything to do with the dog. Investigation bias allegations. So Trooper Proctor's connection and evidence of personal relationships between the Albert family. The biased text messages about Karen Reed to his friends. Like, he didn't even know her. Didn't even know her. Could have been a dingo. Absolutely. You have to look at my theory still stands firm, with each subsequent the hard surface being the garage floor or the basement floor. Yep. I thought that initially he fell back and hit his head on one of those weight benches because of the narrowness of the laceration to the back of his head. But when Dr. Wolf, because initially when he started testifying, I'm like, nah, I don't like you. But after listening to him, there was no depressed skull fracture at the base where the point of impact was. So it was a flat surface. It wasn't. So what I'm saying is that the impact zone was wider. It wasn't narrow. So if you imagine you're hitting a hammer to a nail and you miss, you get that dint where the hammerhead hit. If you're hitting a nail in with a 4x2, you don't get that indentation. So that didn't happen to the back of his skull, but the force was enough to cause massive fractures that basically went all the way right to his occipital roof, right up here. Yeah, exactly. No rocks, no cement, no curb, no baseball bat. But 4x2 could have done it. Yes, it was in the basement, darling. That's where it was. The blood was in the basement. What else have we got? Brian Albert's brother, Kevin, is a Canton police officer, creating potential conflicts of interest. Taillight pieces. The defence alleges taillight pieces were only found after Proctor had possession of Reed's vehicle, and the Albert family dog got rehomed. Witness credibility issues. We're nearly there. Nearly at the drum roll. Karen Reed's testimony. Evidence suggests Roberts admitted to lying under oath. Kerry Roberts' testimony. Lying under oath in the second trial. Jen McCabe's denials, contradictions in McCabe's testimony about the Google search and her activities that night. Probability analysis of meeting the burden of proof. For second-degree murder, to prove this charge beyond a reasonable doubt, the prosecution must establish 1, Karen Reed intentionally killed John O'Keefe, or 2, she acted with malice, extreme recklessness showing disregard for human life. Analysis. The prosecution faces significant challenges in proving malice. Evidence of planning future trips with O'Keefe contradicts motive. The timeline discrepancies, particularly the snowplow driver testimony, create substantial reasonable doubt about when and how O'Keefe ended up on the lawn. At 2:27 a.m., the Google search by McCabe, if authenticated, seriously undermines the prosecution's timeline. The probability of conviction, low to moderate. The reasonable doubt standard is particularly difficult to overcome given the multiple plausible alternative scenarios and timeline discrepancies. Charge 2, under manslaughter, for manslaughter whilst operating under the influence. The prosecution must prove Reed operated a vehicle whilst intoxicated. Yep. She did so recklessly, and this directly caused John O'Keefe's death. Analysis. Whilst there's evidence Reed was drinking earlier that night, the same timeline issues apply. The snowplow driver's testimony that nobody was present at 2:30 a.m. creates significant reasonable doubt about causation. The injury pattern testimony from defence experts also challenges the vehicle strike theory. Probability of conviction, low to moderate. The prosecution must overcome multiple reasonable alternative explanations. Charge 3, for leaving the scene. The prosecution must prove that Reed knowingly collided with O'Keefe, that she caused his injury or death, and that she fled the scene to avoid prosecution. Analysis. This charge faces the same timeline challenges. If the defence can establish that Reed's tail light was damaged at 5 a.m. at O'Keefe's home with video evidence, this significantly undermines the prosecution's theory. Ryan Nagel's testimony about the undamaged taillight adds to reasonable doubt. Probability of conviction, low to moderate. Contingent on the strength of the video evidence and Nagel's testimony. Conclusion. Hang on. Side by swoop. We need to do a new side by swoop. Ready, go.
It's a little swoop, a sneaky little glide. The message is simple, like and subscribe.
Oh, I've got 4. I forgot one. I missed one.
by swoop, it's in your sight. Like and subscribe. Oh, don't be shy.
Sidebar swoop. I know, I'm an idiot. Okay, that was our drum roll. Based on comprehensive analysis of the available evidence from both trials, the prosecution faces substantial challenges in meeting the beyond a reasonable doubt standard for all three categories and charges. The defense has presented multiple reasonable alternative explanations and timeline inconsistencies that collectively create significant reasonable doubt. The most problematic elements for the prosecution appear to be the snowplow driver, Jennifer McCabe's Google search, the butt dials, the people leaving and not seeing anyone, the questions about the injury pattern not matching the vehicle strike, and evidence of bias in the investigation. Now, that will be interesting because Proctor will be called by the defence. Whilst juries are unpredictable, true, they could swing anyway, and the prosecution may present compelling arguments to counter these issues, the current evidence suggests a significant probability that the prosecution will fail to meet its burden for all three charges, particularly for the murder charge, which requires the highest. The conflicting medical evidence, timeline discrepancies, and questions about investigative integrity all contribute to reasonable doubt. That would make conviction on the most serious charges difficult to achieve. There you go. So I actually think that Hank has pretty much fucked himself by Burgess in particular. Oh, question. One thing I didn't hear. Oh, I got a question. Woo! One thing I didn't hear or don't remember. Did her Lexus register when she hit? No. They are saying that there are triggering factors, but there wasn't a trigger, like there wasn't a recorded collision as such. There was no airbag deployment, and yeah, it didn't register on the black box. So I missed all these. Sorry, my theory still. Chloe did it. She swore on the Bible and said, I bit him. Yeah. Yep, I do have it. And I did get your email, and I'm working my way through the NDIS thingy. 10 years avatars. There you go. Share. Image. So if you've noticed all of the avatars on the thumbnails, you can thank Tan for that. She has created every single one of them. There you go. There's Chloe. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help go smackos. Yep. Lexus taken at 4:11 doesn't arrive until 5:30. Yeah. Yes. Why else would you reverse a Sallyport? There's no other reason. And don't forget that apparently the recording of the 24 miles per hour in reverse, it goes on the tire spin, not the diff spin. So if the tires were spinning because of the snow, oh, where'd I go? There I am. They will obviously they're spinning faster, so it will register a faster speed. So it's not the actual diff itself. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. He knew. Absolutely. 100%. But that's how desperate he is. He was hoping that he could get the ARCA witnesses out because they are going to be the nail in his coffin. Absolutely. They will shut him down. The only thing that concerns me is his rebuttal witness is Crosby, the dog expert, apparently. Which really I don't see the dog injuries as anything significant because they didn't cause they weren't contributing factor. So whoop-de-doo. Makes no difference. Not to me. The rest is fluff. How that head injury occurred and what caused it is the only thing that I need to know, and how it was done. Yeah, the airbags didn't go off at all, and like she didn't have seatbelt bruising, nothing. A dog emoji that says I bit him 3 times. Did you see my I put my new song up as the intro. It's called Karen Reid River Fever. Hank Brennan doesn't care now. He's getting his heart. Yeah. Yeah, but no, don't forget, he is arrogant enough. He wants that win. And I said to you from the start, he will do it at any cost. Any cost. He doesn't care. And I think he's proven that. And I did say from the very start too that I don't think we've even seen a scratch on the surface of why, what he's capable of doing, basically. And there you go. The ninja hair, yeah, like one hair, and they could not say that it didn't belong to any of his relatives on his mother's side. So there you go. I keep going from hot to cold. And that bloody cat from next door was fucking in my bedroom again. Just as I was about to go live, I could hear one of the cats going, wow. Sure as shit, bastard was in my room again. I've had to close that window because I can't trust the bastard not coming in. Fuck. These neighbours, I swear to God. I sent that video of you falling today to the salvos, to both my property manager and to the housing manager, as well as pictures of how it's blocking my access. My support worker could not get my green bin in today. My mower man couldn't get the mower through. And I said, I can't go and ask at the door. It's part of, her bond conditions that she can't talk to me. I said, no, I have no interest in speaking to her. So I've heard a stray cat that came in a week ago. I guess I'm... Oh, did you? Oh. I have 4 cats, but next door has 2. And they are just constantly coming into my carport, coming into my bedroom. I found one in the in my spare room under the bed the other night. I've had, because I've always got like nibbles and stuff out for my cats in my bedroom, and I've got like a window thing that has a little opening that they can come in and out of. They even have a little electric blanket to lay on. They're so spoiled. But yeah, I think they're coming in because of the food. So I moved the food into the spare room, and then the next day I found this bloody cat under the spare bed with one of my cats bailing it up. Every night I hear one of them scrapping. Yeah. Give me 5 minutes, I'll send a vid to you. Yeah, okay. Yes, please do, because I will forward it. Yeah, to get my green bin in, luckily my support worker today was a male. He had to literally lift it over a couple of things, and they've got a shopping trolley now that's protruding halfway out as well. I just want them gone. So I'm hoping as soon as this personal protection order is what do you call it? Given to her. What do you know? that word. It is for this. Because I've put in there that I don't want her within 200 meters of me. I'm hoping that she can't come home because she lives like 5 meters away. Where are you going to send it? Via email would probably be the best, Alan. So I am actually looking forward to listening to the defence's case in chief this week, because they sound very, very confident. Listening to Karen the other day as a statement, she basically said, "We know who did it." So I don't think that this next witness for the Commonwealth is going to hold much weight, given the Burgess credibility issue and the Aperture now issue. I believe, yeah. Yep. Now, when I watched the first trial, you go back and have a look, I actually I said back then that there was Brian Albert, Brian Higgins, and Colin Albert in the basement, and that's where it happened. And they're the 3 people that they named as their third-party culprit, because getting the women to back the story, Jen McCabe, Nicole Albert, and Julie Albert, my theory is that you would only get them on side if they had to protect a child, which is where Colin came in. I don't believe that it was deliberate, but I do believe that he somehow had something to do with it. Whether Higgins instigated an argument about Karen, and the dog jumped up to protect John's response, because you think about it, Higgins and Albert, they're trained boxers and they're big boys. If they're going to punch you, you're going to have more than a tiny little split in your eyebrow. You are going to have a swollen under here as well. The injuries that John has, and I even said that back in trial 1, that they're coup contra coup. So they're actually from internal injuries. The pressure of the hemorrhaging in the brain is coming out on top of the eyelids, and that's where the blood is pooling. So And the brain surgeon, cool, that's the first thing he said. That's the exact injury that I said it was. So there you go. So the upshot of it all is, if the jury voted today, they would have not met their burden of proof on any of the 3 charges that are on the books, on the table, with Karen Reid. So I think tomorrow we will have the Aperture expert, the last one, and then for his rebuttal witness, he will call Crosby, and there's one other witness that tested the swab of John's clothes that came back saying that there was no dog DNA on there. There was pig DNA, but it was Proctor that took the swab. So, yeah, if Colin had have taken a punch at him because he's a weird little slime ball, then yes, he could have maybe done a little slit and created that, because it's a separate injury. It's come from force from the front, not the back. So, but had one of the boys, the 2 big boys, punched him, there's no way he would have much bigger injury than that. That's right. Yes, correct. Yep. Look, Higgins, because they were all pissed. Higgins could have started something, mouthing off about Karen. John's gone to lunge towards Higgins, and Collins stepped in and walloped him one. Who knows? He's fallen back in his head. But the other thing that it really is getting at me is his blood alcohol concentration. He was hammered. 0.21 in his blood and 0.28. Now, if you look that up, if you look up what the impairments would be for those, 2.8 is almost unconscious, or so 0.28 is like severely impaired, almost unconscious, and 2.21, he would have had difficulty with motor skills, he would have had slurred speech, the lot, and it was on its way down. So, because I put in his height and his weight as well with the readings. Absolutely. There's only one way you will get those women on side, and that's to protect one of the children. Simple as that. They won't protect Albert or Higgins. Nah. All right, Tan, have you got this video? Or should we do it for tomorrow's stream? What do you think of StreamYard's new comments on screen option? Can you actually read that or not? It's like, I can't. And I doubt you could on a phone. So this is their latest update. So you can either have them on or off. Okay. On your phone? Are you watching it on you're reading it on a phone? You can read it? Or are you on a tablet? Is it easier to have it on the screen than have to scroll up and down on a comments on my TV? Cover everything up on the right. Yeah. All right, cool. I might have a look on my iPad too. Did you want me to put the link in? Oh, I dropped it in Shorty's chat on Saturday. It's Sleuthy Goosey's link to pretty much everything. The timeline, witness statements, everything. Absolutely everything. You can have it, running in the background and check the timeline as each witness is testifying or whatever. If I'm chatting, I just read the chat. If I'm like, do you actually type it in or do you voice to text? Sorry, I think I've got a cat at the door. The glass door. Not very happy. Is there a nasty kitty out there, Finny? Is there? Do you want me to shoo him away? Or you go and hide under the couch then, you big lummox. That finger typing. Can you hear that? All night. Yeah, there's a cat outside the door. And that's my cat going, God. Can you hear it? It sounds like wind, wild wind. Vinny, come on. All right. I think I'm going to have to go. Sort out these pusses. God. Okay. Well, thank you for joining me. I hope it was informative. Yes. One of those fuckers from next door is outside the glass back door and it can see it. Yeah. All right. So day 21 tomorrow. 21 tomorrow, and I believe the state will rest. Hopefully tomorrow. Lovely seeing you all. Have the best rest of your Memorial Day. So we'll be here same time, same place, same bad channel tomorrow. Day 21. Enjoy, and for fuck's sake, stay away from Hank Brennan.
It's been 12 months since a quill, and so much has passed us by. Such a scattering with evidence, and some blatant flat-out lies. I bet he wears those silky undies, the ones with that jean made of lace. So you can bring in Massachusetts, 'cause we all ain't got no quit. And we all know that the truth is my car is not the thing John